A very special guest who's going to be talking about product visibility on global online marketplaces. Richard Manaton is here from GS1 New Zealand. Just a little bit about Richard. He's got 30 years of selling food and drink products internationally, both as a manufacturer and as a retailer, and was with Countdown for about 10 years. So this is a real expert in this field. To communicate with Richard throughout this session, he's going to be taking questions at the end. If you can use the Q&A function, chat function, or comment section, that would be great. Welcome, Richard. Thanks for joining us here on Digital Boost.
Thanks, Anna Marie, that's great. I'm going to attempt to share my screen with you, so just bear with me 2 seconds. Great, hopefully you can see that. Good. Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you very much for the opportunity to talk to you today, and specifically talk on how we can improve visibility of your products on the global massive marketplaces that we see today. And in particular, I'm going to talk about something that is actually utterly foundational. It's not going to be about fancy search optimization per se. It is going to be about setting up your products in the right way to enable them to be listed and found faster and easier by your customers. So there we go. So today we have truly seen the birth of the connected consumer. Everything has quite literally exploded, from the number of products to the amount of information about each product, to the number of sellers, to the number of channels. However, through all of that explosion, as customers and consumers, our expectations for a seamless experience have actually grown. And this has created exponential growth in product data that goes far beyond what's required to manage normal supply chains. This is supplying huge amounts of consumer-facing data to enable consumers to make informed choices and the right choice. And that explosion we have seen in New Zealand. Virtually all categories of retail have seen tremendous growth online. And that continues into the lockdowns that we're having right now. And at a global level, there are in the order of 1 billion products now listed online for sale. However, the product data associated with these listings is often inaccurate, it can be old, it can be incomplete, or at best disorganized. And worse still, estimates are that 50% of shoppers have at some point had to return items that they've purchased because it didn't match the description or the expectation or the image that they saw of the product. And I can vouch for that experience just recently myself, purchasing something that was not what I expected it to be. And to support that explosion in data, ecosystems have become significantly more complex and costly. And they've revealed systemic shortcomings in the product data foundations. It is increasingly complicated for brand owners and retailers to manage the quality and completeness of data, often with proprietary data exchange ecosystems. At the same time, retailers and marketplaces are requiring increased levels of content differentiation between their competitors, further complexinating the task. So today, when you go to marketplaces and look at their help centers, and here's one, the Google Merchant Center, their focus is entirely on meeting the needs of trading partners and consumers, who frankly today demand high quality product data to inform that decision. And they want transparency in both the physical and the digital worlds of commerce. By that, they mean they want a match, a digital match with the physical product. What they see online, they want to see delivered to home. And that's why the first item on the resource center for assistance is maintaining your product information and your product data quality feeds. Interestingly, to complicate matters still further, and contrary to what you might believe, there is no single way to identify a product's identity globally at the moment. And as a result, much of the product information system that's feeding the ecosystem is being compromised. Individual products can have multiple identifiers or an invalid identifier. And I'll explain some of this more shortly. Multiple products might use the same identifier. Product data is often incomplete or not to the standard it needs to be, and that prevents it from flowing from one system to another software system. Consumer buying decisions are based upon complete and valid product data. From lost sales to potentially unsafe products, to even counterfeit goods. A lack of product integrity in our data ecosystems is dragging down companies of all sizes that are operating on the internet. So that's where GS1 fits in the picture. And I won't assume here you know who GS1 is. So let me just do a quick introduction. Firstly, most people would know us as the people that issue the humble barcode. However, although that's correct, we are significantly more than that as an organization. We are, in fact, a global standards body. We are a not-for-profit incorporated society that's actually owned by New Zealand businesses. And by that I mean, when you need a barcode to sell your product, you will become a member of GS1 and have rights to use the barcodes that are allocated to you. But in using those barcodes, you have to use them in a way that obeys the global rules and the standards as to how they will be used. And that's important because that maintains system integrity. But crucially, GS1 also develops and leverages global data standards to enable sharing of data between trading partners. And of course, GS1 is globally omnipresent. 6 billion barcodes are scanned every day. There are over 100 million products that carry GS1 barcodes. And there are more than 2 million companies that use our standards today. But just bringing it back to the humble barcode, or actually as it's technically known, the global trade item number, or more easily remembered as the GTIN, this is a globally unique number. And GS1 New Zealand administers and issues all numbers from New Zealand. So let's just unpack that a little bit. The GTIN is comprised of 4 components. The first is the GS1 company prefix. So in this instance, this is GS1 New Zealand. And all GS1 New Zealand barcodes will be issued with the numbers 94 preceding. Australia, 93, and every country has their own number. Following that 3-digit number is then the global company prefix. And in this instance, this is EcoStore Company. Following the company prefix is the product code. And again, in this instance, this is dishwashing liquid, grapefruit 500 ml. And the last number is what's called a check digit, which is a validator at the point of scanning to validate the number. Now, GS1 New Zealand is part of a global federation of GS1s around the world that administer these standards. There are 115 GS1s around the world, and we look after, across all of those separate member organizations, some 150 countries globally. So in New Zealand, for example, we support many of the Pacific Island nations. Now, why is this network important? Well, fundamentally, marketplaces are a global phenomenon. Marketplaces are domiciled all over the world, not just in Europe and the US, but all over the world. And at last count, there are over 90 marketplaces across the world and growing. And they need to be supported in each of the areas where they are headquartered. Over the years, GS1 has been working with global marketplaces to try and settle on a vision to resolve the issues of complexity and this explosion of data that's taken place, where frankly our architecture, our systems, hasn't kept pace with the rate of growth. And now industry has settled on a vision whereby every retailer can verify every product that every brand makes. And that every retailer can connect to brand authorized data about every product. And I want to emphasize brand authorized. The source of this information ultimately needs to come from the genuine brand owner who knows about that product. But we can facilitate that process and distribute that information. Now, to coordinate our activities globally, GS1 has a management board made up of leading representatives from industry, be they manufacturers, be they retailers, or indeed marketplaces. And today we have leading representatives from both Google, Amazon, and Bol.com sitting on our GS1 Global Management Board. And their focus is to drive the vision that I've just shared with you. A huge part of that vision starts at the product identity, and that is firstly being able to identify the product correctly and accurately and have the data associated with that product accurate, so that that information is unique and accurate and therefore can be relied upon. Today, consumers have always valued price, but they now demand speed, convenience, accuracy, and transparency. So today, when you sign up to GS1 and want to get your first barcodes, you'll also be asked to provide a minimum set of core attributes about your product. First of all, we'll confirm the GTIN, the number. Then we need to know the brand name. Then we need to know the product description. We'd like to receive a product image, URL, so that the retailer can ping an image of the product and verify it visually. Also, we want to classify the product into a global product category code that's run by GS1, so that products are classified in their right areas. And also the net weight of the product and the unit of measure is collected, and also what countries that product is for sale in. So these aren't particularly challenging attributes, but they are very fundamental to identifying the product and what the product is for your respective customers going forward. The data then forms the backbone of what we call a new service called Verified by GS1. And this enables GS1 members globally to actually verify a product by querying the GS1 Global Registry platform. This is essentially just a massive database of GTINs and their associated product attributes from around the world. It's used by marketplaces as part of the listing process and can help ensure that every product is universally identified with a GTIN. And when it has a GTIN, it has an accurate payload of data to be able to describe that product. This provides accurate, complete, and accessible unique product identification and attribution in order to authenticate and verify the identity of every product, and just as importantly, who the brand owner is of that product. Particularly important these days in the age of counterfeit and some of the behavior of bad actors. So trust and efficiency starts with the right product identity provided by GS1. Verified by GS1 is to products what a passport is to people. And that's how you should think about it. And that's how you should be supporting your products as those products navigate this massive and diverse online ecosystem. Make sure they have their passport with them. And that's why marketplaces around the world are now adopting GS1 global standards. Here, for example, under providing better product information for shoppers, Google is very explicit that they have adopted the GTIN as the standard for product identification since 2015. Likewise, Amazon, they recently announced a policy change in April of this year that you are required to provide unique product identifier, a global trade item number, a GTIN, to create new listings. And if you have an invalid GTIN, they say, your listing will be removed unless you immediately action to provide the required information to Amazon. And Amazon are particularly focused on counterfeit and ensuring products are coming from bona fide sellers. So what does Amazon mean when they talk about unauthorized or invalid GTINs? We prefer to call these GTINs unauthorized because they're not authorized by the GS1 system. Fundamentally, these are barcodes that have been purchased on the internet from resellers. Here, for example, I have an example of a wonderful New Zealand food. I've masked it because obviously I'm not in the business of embarrassing people. But this product, when you interrogate it at our global registry, you find that the original licensee of the product is a company out of California, Unblock and Block Gun Safety Systems Incorporated, clearly not a food company. In this instance, this would block your Amazon listing automatically because they check machine to machine against our database. And if in doubt, Amazon won't list the product. When this happens, we swiftly work with the brand owner to look to change out their barcodes and get them sorted out and get them back on their way. Here's another example of how GTINs can be used. In this case, Google's organic search results. Search results rely on rich snippets such as ratings, reviews, prices, etc., stock levels. In this case, the hairdryer manufacturer GDHD has achieved quite a high level of transparency around using structured data that is search engine friendly in their HTML. The search engine uses the data structure in the schema.org vocabulary to pull this data. This is able to be happened because GS1 has partnered with schema.org to extend the vocabulary of schema.org to enable the better selling of products. And GS1 has created the smart search standards, which are the extension to schema.org with the extra attributes for retailers. So if you're thinking of creating your website, make it far more discoverable for search engines by using structured data. And I would ask you to read up on GS1 Smart Search to enable you to do that. In addition, GTINs power the Google shopping ads. In this example, this is a Dyson hairdryer. And Google has used the GTIN to specifically identify this particular dryer and sweep up all the reviews that it can find. And in this case, has found over 295 reviews with an average rating of 4.5 stars. This clearly makes the experience far more compelling for the user. Google has aggregated those so that the ratings are substantially superior to the number of ratings to the Remington products sitting beside it at only 80. And how many times do you see reviews where there literally is less than 10? And frankly, they're not worth the paper they're written on, given how low the number is. So this enables Google to aggregate reviews and provide a better story for the shopper. Again, shopping ads use data feeds. In this instance, again, the GTIN is used to match the product specifically to the search query. And in this instance, the advertiser is able to provide feeds on local inventory information, such as is the product in stock and at what price it is. In this case, they're communicating that it's available via click and collect. So I hope that's kind of been useful. The bottom line for my message here today is get your product identification right. It will make the listing of your products much easier and more importantly, far more discoverable on online searches. Come and talk to GS1. We're here to help you. Our role in life is, as I explained earlier, is not to make money. Our role in life is to enable you to make money by using our standards and to enable your product to seamlessly move between your trading partners. We've got plenty of resource material on our website, or make contact through our support center if you want to discuss any of this further again. So look, thanks again for your time, and I wish you all the very best of luck selling online. Thank you.
There we go. Sorry, my computer, I've got a new computer and I have to be patient with the click. It takes a moment and then the camera comes on. So that was wonderful. Thank you so much. And thanks for really slowing it down and making sure that we understood every aspect of how this all works and really enlightening us on how GS1 New Zealand can help us get out onto the global market and do it in the right way. Because I think that that's, you know, one of the things that I've heard from yourself and another member of your team is it's really important that you get it right. When you're putting things out there to make sure it's labeled correctly, all of these things super important when we're I guess doing any stage of business, but especially in this realm where we're kind of stretching out into supermarkets or we're going global. So yeah, very cool. Thank you so much for your time, Richard. And I'm just going to waffle on a little bit because I'm going to see if anybody has any questions, give them the opportunity to type. So I myself just found that really self-explanatory. So I don't actually have any questions in my pocket that I can pull out at this time. But here we go. Let's have a look. So do you pronounce it SKUs or SKUs?
Yeah, SKUs or SKU. Yeah.
Do SKUs also impact SEO? What is the best format for these? Thanks, Charlie.
So I think I understand the question. So a SKU usually refers to a SKU number. Now, a SKU number is invariably a number that your company uses if you manufacture the product. The problem with that is that is just unique to you and it's not recognized by your trading partners. And in fact, and I remember when I was working at Countdown, a manufacturer would have a separate SKU number for their product in their manufacturing system, and yet Countdown would then allocate a different SKU number that they recognize to the same product. So straight away, you've got oranges and apples. What we do is we say, start at the GTM, start at the barcode that's on the very product. And then if you choose to have a SKU number, map to it. And likewise, the retailer maps to our GTM. So it becomes, if you like, a very simple translator. And everybody recognizes that GTM. And the reason being is because for them to physically sell that product in a physical store, they've got to be able to scan it. Therefore, they've got to be able to ingest the GTM. So always come back to that. It becomes the enabler for people to recognize, you mean that particular product. Whereas, if you're a retailer, you're dealing with many, many different SKU protocols from many, many different manufacturers. It just becomes a nightmare. Likewise, you're becoming hard as a manufacturer to deal with lots of retailers because they don't want to deal with your number. They want to deal with a number they recognize, which is the GTM, the barcode. I hope that answers the question. No,
it does. It doesn't make sense. Yes.
So SKU will not be recognized. Your proprietary SKU number will not be recognized by search engines.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much for enlightening us on that. All these little questions that we have, and just an awesome thank you from Charlie. Thanks so much for that. Charlie, thanks for dropping that question in. I'm just going to check the other platforms, just make sure we're getting everybody's questions. It looks like we're pretty good on that front. So if nobody else,
the only other thing I would say, the only other thing I would probably say is do everything I've suggested really early in your development cycle.
Okay.
Do it before you've created your packaging. Get your product identification right. Get your GTMs allocated before you start spending some significant amounts of money on your packaging. All right. Don't come to us late. Come to us early. Get yourself sorted, and then away you go.
Fantastic. Great advice. And you guys are the experts. I mean, you've just got so much experience. You look too young for that much experience, Richard. I'm going to say it. I'm adding up all the years here. I'm just going, what's happening there? So
thank you very much. You made my day.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And honestly, it's been our pleasure having you on here to enlighten us in this area, and looking forward to seeing some of the development that you guys do with this information. So please, if you go on and contact GS1 or you get your products out there, do let us know. We want to follow your story, and you can share your story on our Facebook community page. If you didn't know we had one, on Fridays, you can promote your product, which is really cool. So do check that out. And it's probably going to be us for today, Richard. I'd say that we're good to go. So thanks for doing a really great job at presenting so that we have all of our questions answered while we go along.
That's a pleasure.
Have a wonderful day, everyone. I might see you later today for our special session with Francis at 1 o'clock, talking about why digital is important for your business. Other than that, I'll see you tomorrow. Ka kite.